Have you ever wondered if your soul deliberately chose every challenge, every blessing, and every relationship in your life for a specific divine purpose? What if I told you that according to one of history's most documented psychics, your current life circumstances, even the painful ones, were specifically selected by your soul before you were born? Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, conducted over 14,000 documented psychic readings that revealed an astonishing truth about human existence. Through his trance states, Cayce discovered something that challenges everything we've been taught about life's hardships. Your soul isn't a victim of random circumstances, it's the architect of your spiritual journey. Has this ever happened to you? You face a seemingly impossible situation, something that feels unfair or overwhelming, only to look back months or years later and realize it was precisely what you needed for your growth. That's not coincidence. It's divine orchestration. According to Cayce's extensive readings, your soul volunteered for your current life experiences, yes, even the difficult ones. What appears as struggle in your life isn't random misfortune or punishment. It's actually spiritual curriculum your soul specifically requested before incarnating. Every challenge serves as a carefully selected learning opportunity designed to help fulfill your soul's mission in this lifetime. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might completely transform how you view your life's purpose and the challenges you're currently facing. When you begin aligning with your soul's divine purpose, Cayce revealed that something remarkable happens. You naturally become a conduit for healing energy. This isn't limited to those in healing professions. Anyone living their spiritual calling begins vibrating at what Cayce called the Christ consciousness frequency, a universal spiritual energy that promotes healing in others simply through your presence, regardless of your religious background or beliefs. What if your very existence is meant to be medicine for the world around you? What if your life's purpose isn't just about your personal fulfillment, but about becoming a healing presence for everyone you encounter? The signs that confirm you're exactly where God wants you to be can be subtle, yet profound. Many people miss these divine signposts because they're looking for dramatic confirmations rather than the quiet whispers of spiritual alignment. The 7 spiritual signs Cayce identified through thousands of readings aren't what most people expect. They're far more powerful. The first profound sign of alignment with divine purpose is something Cayce discovered repeatedly in his readings. You become a spiritual catalyst without even trying. Those walking their soul's intended path unconsciously help others remember their own spiritual nature. Have you noticed people suddenly opening up to you about their deepest struggles or spiritual questions? This isn't random. It's the catalytic effect of your alignment. This impact operates through what Cayce called spiritual ripples, energy waves that extend from your being and can affect people across great distances, even those you've never physically met. Your transformation becomes a hidden force that subtly awakens others to their own spiritual journey. This is why certain people leave such a lasting impact on us after just one encounter. They're catalysts operating at their highest spiritual frequency. What's even more remarkable is how this alignment affects your physical well-being. Through thousands of medical readings, Cayce consistently demonstrated that spiritual alignment directly influences physical health. The revelations in his documented work show that many diseases result from spiritual misalignment when we're not living in harmony with our soul's purpose. Your body literally speaks the truth of your spiritual state. This isn't about positive thinking or visualization techniques. It's about fundamental spiritual laws in operation. When you find and live your true purpose, your body naturally functions more harmoniously. Energy flows where it should. Systems operate efficiently, and many chronic conditions begin to resolve. The body's intelligence responds to the soul's alignment, a profound insight that modern medicine is only beginning to acknowledge. Now, I want to go deeper into perhaps the most transformative sign Cayce identified: ideals manifestation. Souls living their divine purpose experience increasing alignment between their spiritual ideals and daily reality. The journey reveals itself in how your external world begins mirroring your internal values. But here's the crucial mindset shift. These ideals aren't goals or ambitions in the conventional sense. They're spiritual qualities like love, patience, service, or wisdom that your soul specifically committed to developing through this incarnation. They're the soul's curriculum, not the ego's wish list. When you're truly aligned with where God wants you to be, your actions, thoughts, and circumstances begin reflecting these chosen ideals with increasing clarity and consistency. What once required enormous effort becomes natural expression. You don't have to try to be patient. Patience flows through you as a response to life's rhythm. You don't force yourself to serve others. Service becomes your spontaneous reaction to human need. These qualities aren't developed through willpower, but through surrender to your soul's deepest intentions. Intentions formed before your birth and waiting to be remembered rather than created. The decisions you make daily either align with these spiritual ideals or pull you away from them. The revelations come when you notice which choices bring deep peace versus which bring inner conflict. If you're experiencing this alignment between your spiritual ideals and your daily reality, write in the comments, "My soul is remembering." This simple acknowledgement can be powerful in reinforcing your commitment to this sacred path of purpose. If these spiritual insights from Edgar Cayce have illuminated your path today, hit that subscribe button to join our community of seekers exploring the soul's deepest wisdom. The transformation doesn't stop with ideals manifestation, though. As your soul continues awakening to its divine purpose, you'll notice another profound shift in how you experience guidance. This guidance manifests through what Cayce called the natural expression of spiritual qualities. When you're truly living your soul's purpose, you'll notice a profound transformation in how you embody your spiritual values. Actions, thoughts, and even the circumstances around you begin reflecting your chosen spiritual ideals with increasing clarity and consistency. The journey reveals itself in moments where you respond with patience, when you would have once reacted with frustration, or extend compassion where judgment once lived. What's remarkable about this evolution is how effortless it becomes. The spiritual qualities that once required tremendous willpower and conscious intention start flowing through you naturally. This effortless expression isn't something you achieve, it's something you allow. It's the soul's authentic nature emerging as the ego's resistance dissolves. When this shift happens, it's one of the clearest revelations that you're exactly where God wants you to be. Behind the scenes of this transformation, something even more profound is happening, what Cayce termed karmic acceleration. Purpose-aligned souls experience rapid spiritual growth through intensified learning experiences. The hidden truth here might surprise you. This acceleration isn't always comfortable. In fact, Cayce's readings consistently showed that souls aligned with their divine purpose often face more intense challenges, not fewer. Why would the universe increase your challenges when you're finally on the right path? Because your spiritual capacity has expanded to handle greater responsibility. It's similar to how a fitness trainer increases the weight once you've mastered the current level. The universe isn't punishing you, it's promoting you. These accelerated lessons aren't setbacks, but acknowledgements of your readiness for deeper growth. This mindset shift around difficulties becomes crucial for navigating your soul's journey. What appears as an obstacle is actually a divinely orchestrated opportunity for expanded consciousness. The impact of embracing this perspective transforms every challenge from a burden to a blessing, even before you see the outcome. Now, I want to explore perhaps the most practical sign of divine alignment: enhanced intuitive guidance. Those living their soul's purpose develop a stronger connection to what Cayce termed the divine within. This isn't mystical jargon, but a concrete experience of receiving clear direction from beyond your logical mind. According to Cayce's documented readings, every soul has access to infinite wisdom through proper attunement with spiritual forces. This isn't some special psychic ability reserved for a chosen few. It's your natural spiritual inheritance. The decisions that once seemed confusing become clearer as this intuitive guidance strengthens. You find yourself knowing which path to take without always understanding why, only to discover later the perfect orchestration of events that followed. This guidance often comes through dreams, meditation, and what Cayce called intuitive knowing, those unmistakable inner promptings that feel different from regular thoughts. When you're living your purpose, these signals become increasingly accurate and helpful in navigating life's complexities. If you've experienced this enhanced intuition, guiding you in unexpected but ultimately perfect directions, type Divine GPS in the comments. It's a profound acknowledgement of how the soul navigates when we surrender to its wisdom. As your intuitive connection strengthens, you'll notice another fascinating phenomenon occurring in your external world: a magnetic pull toward specific service opportunities. This magnetic pull manifests through what Cayce called spiritual attunement, a gradual refinement of your ability to receive and interpret divine guidance. Purpose-aligned individuals naturally develop this attunement, creating a clear channel between their conscious mind and spiritual wisdom. The transformation happens almost imperceptibly at first. Perhaps you notice your dreams becoming more vivid and meaningful, or meditation brings insights rather than just relaxation. This attunement isn't something you achieve through technique alone. It emerges through consistent spiritual practice combined with authentic living. The revelations come when you begin recognizing patterns in how guidance appears in your life, whether through repeated symbols, synchronistic encounters, or that unmistakable inner knowing that transcends logic. Your unique spiritual fingerprint becomes clearer as you learn your soul's native language of communication. What's particularly fascinating about this journey is the distinct quality of true guidance. Cayce made a profound discovery across thousands of readings. The guidance received by purpose-aligned souls consistently directs them toward greater service to others rather than personal advantage. This becomes a reliable benchmark for distinguishing authentic spiritual direction from ego-based desires or external influence. Behind the scenes of your spiritual development, this distinction creates a powerful filter. When impulses arise that would benefit only you at others' expense, you recognize them as coming from a lower frequency. The mindset shift happens when you begin automatically questioning, does this choice expand love and service for all involved? Your decision-making framework naturally elevates to consider the highest good for everyone affected. True spiritual guidance always promotes the collective good of all souls, never just individual benefit. This doesn't mean you sacrifice your well-being, quite the opposite. Your genuine needs are met precisely through alignment with universal principles of service. The hidden truth is that personal fulfillment and collective service aren't opposing paths, but the same road viewed from different perspectives. Now, I want to explore one of the most practical aspects of divine guidance, what Cayce called step-by-step spiritual instructions. Souls aligned with their purpose receive guidance that unfolds sequentially, where each spiritual instruction, when followed, leads naturally to the next level of understanding and service opportunity. This creates a divine pathway forward that reveals itself one step at a time. The impact of this process is profound because it eliminates the overwhelm of trying to see the entire spiritual journey at once. You don't need to know the complete blueprint, you simply need to follow the next indicated step. Each small act of obedience to inner guidance opens the door to deeper wisdom and expanded service capacity. The transformation happens through faithful response to what's clear now, not anxious striving for what remains hidden. This step-by-step unfolding creates a journey of continuous revelation. Each insight, building upon previous understanding, each service opportunity preparing you for greater impact. What appears as a winding path from ground level reveals itself as a perfectly designed spiral from the higher perspective. If you've experienced this phenomenon of guidance, revealing itself one step at a time, type divine breadcrumbs in the comments. It's a beautiful acknowledgement of how the spiritual path unfolds, not through grand visions, but through humble, faithful steps. As you follow these divine breadcrumbs, you'll notice another fascinating phenomenon emerging in your external reality. Specific opportunities begin appearing in your life that seem perfectly tailored to your unique gifts. This magnetic phenomenon is what Cayce called service magnetism, a powerful force that begins operating in your life when you align with your soul's purpose. According to his documented work, souls in divine alignment naturally attract opportunities to serve others in ways that utilize their unique spiritual gifts and talents. The revelations come when you notice how perfectly matched these opportunities are to your specific abilities, experiences, and even your past wounds. This isn't about forcing yourself to volunteer or help others out of obligation. The mindset shift here is profound. Service isn't something you do, but something you become. Your very presence becomes an offering, because you're operating from your authentic spiritual essence rather than a constructed identity. The transformation happens naturally, as your inner alignment creates an energetic signature that draws precisely the right service opportunities to you. Behind the scenes of this attraction process is a fascinating pattern. When truly aligned with soul purpose, you find that service opportunities appear spontaneously, often in ways never planned or expected. Someone randomly reaches out for help with exactly the challenge you've overcome. A conversation turns unexpectedly toward the very wisdom you've been integrating. A community need emerges that requires exactly your unique combination of skills and experiences. These coincidences aren't random, they're cosmic orchestration. They represent the hidden truth that your life is being guided with extraordinary precision toward fulfilling your soul's mission. These spontaneous opportunities always align with your deepest spiritual capacities, a clear sign you're exactly where God intends you to be in this moment. Now, I want to go deeper into the spiritual mechanics behind this phenomenon, what Cayce referred to as the spiritual law of attraction. This isn't the popularized version focused on manifesting material wealth. It's a much more profound, universal principle, like attracts like in the spiritual realm. Souls committed to authentic service naturally attract circumstances and people that enable greater service expression. What makes this principle so powerful is that it operates through spiritual law rather than conscious manipulation or effort. You don't need to network strategically or promote your abilities. The universe itself becomes your booking agent. bringing you exactly the opportunities that align with your soul's purpose and current capacity. The impact of this magnetic force eliminates the anxiety of having to figure everything out on your own. This magnetism creates an upward spiral of growth and service. As you faithfully respond to each opportunity, your capacity expands, which then attracts even more aligned opportunities. The journey reveals itself through this natural progression of increasing responsibility and impact, without the striving and pushing that characterizes ego-driven achievement. What's particularly beautiful about this process is how it eliminates comparison and competition. Your service path is uniquely yours. The specific blend of qualities, experiences, and wisdom you bring creates a signature frequency that attracts precisely the souls and situations that need what only you can offer in exactly the way you can offer it. If you've experienced this phenomenon of perfectly aligned opportunities appearing in your life without your conscious orchestration, write "divinely arranged" in the comments. It acknowledges the invisible hand guiding your path toward maximum spiritual impact. As these service opportunities unfold in your life, you'll notice another profound shift occurring in your relationship with time and outcomes, a quality Cayce identified as essential for sustained spiritual growth. This spiritual shift manifests as a growing acceptance of divine timing, what Cayce identified as a hallmark of souls aligned with their true purpose. The transformation happens subtly as you begin to notice a profound change in your relationship with time itself. The urgent need for immediate results gradually dissolves, replaced by a deep inner knowing that everything unfolds in perfect cosmic sequence. This patience isn't developed through self-discipline or willpower, but emerges naturally as you witness the exquisite orchestration behind your life's unfolding. Behind the scenes of spiritual growth, you begin recognizing how delays often serve as protection, how not yet frequently means something better is being prepared. The mindset shift occurs when you stop seeing patience as enduring something unpleasant and start experiencing it as participating in divine artistry. Don't miss our upcoming revelations on spiritual growth and soul purpose. Subscribe now to continue this journey of awakening together. What makes this evolution particularly fascinating is how it reveals the hidden wisdom in timing. Projects that seemed unnecessarily delayed suddenly make sense when the perfect collaborator appears. Opportunities that didn't manifest when expected reveal their divine scheduling when you encounter them with greater capacity or clearer vision. The journey shows you repeatedly that divine timing operates with a precision and foresight far beyond our limited perspective. Now, I want to explore how this patience connects with another profound sign of spiritual alignment, the evolution of trust. Those living their divine purpose experience deepening trust in universal spiritual laws. This isn't blind faith, but experiential confidence built through witnessing these laws operating consistently in your life. The impact transforms your emotional landscape as anxiety about outcomes diminishes, replaced by peaceful focus on faithful service regardless of visible results. This trust becomes a powerful indicator of spiritual maturity. When you can continue serving without constant external validation, when you can plant seeds without needing to dig them up daily to check progress, when you can release attachment to specific outcomes while maintaining commitment to highest principles, you're demonstrating profound soul alignment. The revelations of this trust appear in practical ways: diminished worry about finances despite uncertainty, peace during waiting periods that would have once created anxiety, ability to continue serving when results aren't yet visible. These aren't temporary states achieved through positive thinking techniques, but stable foundations built on experiential knowledge of spiritual laws in action. Cayce consistently taught something particularly revolutionary about patience. It isn't passive waiting, but active spiritual power. The traditional concept of patience often conjures images of resigned acceptance or gritted teeth endurance. But the patience developed by purpose-aligned souls is dynamic, creative, and powerfully generative. It demonstrates faith in divine wisdom and timing while continuing to serve faithfully in the present moment. This spiritual power manifests through willingness to persist in service without demanding immediate validation. It's the farmer who plants seeds and then tends the soil, waters faithfully, removes weeds, and protects from pests, doing everything possible in the visible realm while trusting the invisible processes happening beneath the surface. The transformation happens when you realize that what appears as waiting is actually active participation in cosmic creation. If you've experienced this shift in your relationship with time, finding peace in divine timing rather than struggling against it, write "sacred timing" in the comments. It's a beautiful acknowledgement of this profound spiritual evolution. As this patient trust develops in your spiritual life, you'll notice another significant transformation in how you perceive and respond to life's challenges and difficulties. This transformation in perspective is perhaps one of the clearest signs you're living your soul's purpose. A completely new relationship with difficulties emerges. The journey reveals itself through a profound shift where life's challenges are no longer seen as obstacles or punishments, but as precisely designed spiritual growth opportunities. Behind the scenes of this evolution is what Cayce called spiritual reframing, the ability to perceive the higher purpose within every challenge. This doesn't happen overnight. The mindset shift occurs gradually as you witness repeatedly how difficulties serve as catalysts for spiritual expansion. The job loss that initially felt devastating creates space for more aligned work. The relationship breakdown that seemed like failure becomes the doorway to deeper self-understanding. The health challenge that appeared as punishment reveals itself as an invitation to profound healing on multiple levels. What makes this perspective particularly revolutionary is how it transforms your emotional experience of challenges. Problems don't disappear, but your relationship with them fundamentally changes. The impact is immediate: reduced suffering, quicker recovery from setbacks, and increased capacity to extract wisdom from difficulty. The hidden truth is that challenges don't diminish when you're living your purpose. They're often intensified, but your capacity to navigate them expands exponentially. Now, I want to explore the practical manifestation of this perspective, what Cayce called spiritual curiosity. Instead of resisting or resenting problems, those aligned with divine purpose approach challenges with genuine curiosity about their spiritual lessons. This isn't toxic positivity or spiritual bypassing. It's the mature spiritual response that asks, what might this difficulty be developing in me? What greater capacity is being forged through this fire? This curiosity creates a powerful framework for growth. Rather than asking, why is this happening to me? You begin asking, what is this developing in me? The revelations come as you discover that every challenge contains precisely the lesson your soul needs for its next level of evolution. This shift in questioning indicates awakening to your soul's purpose and accepting spiritual responsibility for your growth journey. Cayce's documented readings consistently showed that this perspective shift represents a critical spiritual threshold, the moment when the soul begins actively participating in its own evolution rather than passively enduring circumstances. The transformation happens when you recognize that difficulties aren't happening to you, but for you, as part of your soul's chosen curriculum. This evolution naturally leads to what Cayce identified as another profound sign of purpose alignment, the progressive abandonment of victim mentality in favor of spiritual agency. The journey reveals how purpose-aligned souls increasingly recognize their power to respond constructively to all circumstances as co-creators with divine forces. This doesn't mean claiming responsibility for events outside your control, but rather acknowledging your sovereignty in how you interpret and respond to those events. This spiritual agency manifests as decreased blame, reduced complaining, and increased focus on constructive response rather than reactivity. The impact of this shift extends far beyond personal peace. It literally alters the energy you contribute to collective consciousness, creating ripples that affect far more lives than you might imagine. If you've noticed this transformation in how you perceive challenges, finding yourself genuinely curious about their spiritual purpose rather than resentful of their presence, write "growing through challenges" in the comments. It's a powerful acknowledgement of this evolutionary shift in consciousness. As this perspective on challenges deepens, you'll notice another fascinating development in how you acquire and apply spiritual wisdom. This evolution in spiritual understanding manifests as what Cayce called experiential wisdom, a profound transformation in how you acquire and integrate spiritual truth. Those living their divine purpose gain deeper understanding of principles through direct experience rather than just intellectual study. The journey reveals itself as concepts move from theoretical understanding to embodied knowing, from something you've read about to something you've lived through. This transition creates a remarkable shift in your spiritual development. Information gathered from books, lectures, or videos begins integrating with your lived experience, creating wisdom that's uniquely yours. The hidden truth behind spiritual evolution is that genuine wisdom can't be downloaded or transferred. It must be forged through personal experience, reflection, and application. This experiential wisdom manifests visibly through increased compassion for others' struggles, clearer perception of spiritual dynamics, and greater effectiveness in helping others navigate similar territory. What makes this particularly fascinating is how it transforms your relationship with spiritual teachings. Instead of collecting concepts, you begin testing principles through application. The mindset shift happens when you move from knowing about spiritual laws to knowing them through direct verification in your life. The impact of this approach accelerates growth exponentially compared to mere intellectual accumulation. Now, I want to go deeper into a critical aspect of this wisdom development, what Cayce called applied spiritual knowledge. Purpose-aligned souls develop wisdom through spiritual application, not just mental collection of concepts. The revelations come when you begin naturally translating understanding into practical living, bridging the gap between spiritual theory and daily reality. This isn't something you force, it emerges organically when you're aligned with your soul's purpose. This application manifests in countless practical ways: responding with forgiveness where you once held grudges, maintaining peace during circumstances that would have previously triggered anxiety, extending compassion to those who challenge you. The transformation happens as spiritual principles move from aspirational ideals to your default operating system. When you're exactly where God wants you to be, this integration accelerates, creating a virtuous cycle of application, verification, and deeper understanding. Behind the scenes of this development is a fascinating neurological process. You're literally creating new neural pathways that bypass old reactive patterns, establishing new default responses aligned with higher consciousness. The journey shows how spiritual growth isn't just ethereal development, but tangible rewiring of your physical brain through consistent application of spiritual principles. This applied wisdom naturally leads to another profound sign of purpose alignment: expanded spiritual awareness. When living your divine purpose, you experience heightened perception of spiritual dynamics in relationships and situations. You begin seeing beyond surface interactions to the underlying soul lessons, karmic patterns, and growth opportunities present in each encounter. This awareness isn't psychic ability in the conventional sense, but rather the natural result of spiritual attunement. This expanded perception allows you to respond more effectively to the genuine spiritual needs of others, rather than just reacting to their presenting behaviors or requests. You develop what Cayce called spiritual discernment, the ability to perceive what's really happening beneath the surface of situations and what response would best serve everyone's highest good. If you've noticed this shift happening in your life, where spiritual understanding is increasingly verified through direct experience rather than remaining theoretical, write "living wisdom" in the comments. It's a beautiful acknowledgement of this integration between knowledge and experience. As this experiential wisdom deepens, you'll notice another profound evolution in your sense of responsibility toward others and the world around you. This evolution in consciousness manifests as what Cayce called spiritual responsibility, a profound transformation in how you perceive your influence in the world. Those aligned with their soul's purpose progressively accept greater responsibility for the energy they contribute to collective consciousness and their impact on others' spiritual states. The journey reveals itself through increasing awareness that everything you think, feel, say, and do creates ripples far beyond what's immediately visible. This responsibility isn't burdensome, but liberating. Recognition of your genuine power as a spiritual being. The mindset shift happens when you begin experiencing yourself not as a passive recipient of circumstances, but as an active creator of atmosphere. Behind the scenes of this development is the growing realization that your consciousness is literally contributing to the spiritual climate of your home, workplace, community, and beyond. This awareness naturally leads to increased conscientiousness in all life areas, greater attention to the quality of your thoughts, the intention behind your words, the energy of your actions. The impact of this vigilance creates a purification process where lower frequency patterns that once operated unconsciously now come into awareness for transformation. The hidden truth is that purpose-aligned souls don't achieve perfection, but rather develop increasing responsibility for their spiritual influence. Now, I want to explore a practical manifestation of this responsibility, what Cayce called spiritual energy management. Purpose-aligned souls become increasingly conscious of how their thoughts, words, and emotions affect others' spiritual states. The revelations come as you witness how your anxiety creates tension in a room, how your peace calms those around you, how your gratitude elevates collective consciousness, how your criticism dampens others' spirits. This awareness creates natural commitment to maintaining constructive spiritual vibrations rather than contributing to negativity. This isn't about suppressing authentic emotions or maintaining false positivity. It's about conscious stewardship of your energetic contribution to the world. The transformation happens as you recognize that maintaining higher vibrational states isn't just for personal benefit, but a genuine service to all beings in your sphere of influence. What's particularly fascinating about this development is how it shifts your approach to challenging environments. Rather than being susceptible to negative collective fields, you become a stabilizing presence capable of elevating the energetic quality of spaces you enter. The journey reveals your increasing capacity to maintain your spiritual center regardless of external circumstances, a profound sign of purpose alignment. This conscious energy management naturally opens the door to what Cayce identified as one of the most significant signs of divine alignment, the experience of co-creation with spiritual forces. When truly living your soul's purpose, you begin experiencing partnership rather than separation between your will and divine will. The traditional spiritual concept of surrendering, Personal will to divine will transforms into recognition that properly aligned human will becomes a perfect expression of divine will. Cayce consistently taught that purpose-aligned souls naturally discover harmony between their authentic desires and universal spiritual intention. This isn't about subordination, but divine collaboration, recognizing yourself as a specific expression of universal consciousness with unique creative capacity. The impact of this realization eliminates the internal and conflict between what you want and what you believe God wants. If you've experienced this harmonious flow between your will and divine will, where your authentic desires align with spiritual principles, write divine partnership in the comments. It's a powerful acknowledgement of this sacred collaboration. As this divine co-creation deepens in your life, you'll notice another remarkable development in how your genuine needs are met. This harmonious partnership manifests as what Cayce called spiritual abundance, a profound transformation in how your genuine needs are met. This doesn't refer to materialistic excess, but to the natural fulfillment that emerges when living in cooperation with universal spiritual laws. The journey reveals itself through decreasing anxiety about provision and increasing trust in divine supply. Behind the scenes of this abundance is a fundamental shift from manipulation and striving to flow and receptivity. What makes this particularly revolutionary is how it redefines true prosperity. Rather than accumulating beyond need, spiritual abundance ensures that genuine requirements, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, are met with perfect timing and in perfect measure. The hidden truth is that this abundance operates through spiritual principles rather than worldly strategies. The mindset shift happens when you discover that serving your divine purpose naturally activates the reciprocal flow of universal provision. This doesn't mean passive waiting or magical thinking. Cayce consistently emphasized that spiritual abundance requires active partnership, doing your part while trusting the universe to do its part. The impact of this approach eliminates the exhausting cycle of pushing, forcing, and manipulating circumstances to meet your needs. The transformation happens as you learn to work with spiritual currents rather than against them, discovering the effortless power of aligned action. Now I want to explore the spiritual foundation underneath this abundance, what Cayce called the harmony of wills. Through his extensive readings, Cayce revealed something profound about divine and human intention. He consistently taught that divine will isn't separate from human will when human will is properly aligned. The revelations come when you discover that your deepest spiritual desires actually originate from your soul's connection to divine consciousness. This creates a revolutionary perspective on spiritual surrender. Rather than abandoning your authentic desires, true surrender involves recognizing their divine origin. When you're exactly where God wants you to be, your will naturally harmonizes with divine will because they share the same source. The journey reveals how this alignment eliminates the internal conflict that creates so much spiritual suffering. The sense that what you truly want conflicts with what God wants for you. What's fascinating about this harmony is how it transforms your relationship with spiritual guidance. Instead of perceiving divine direction as external constraint, you begin experiencing it as internal liberation, permission to be authentically yourself in service to the greater good. The transformation happens as the artificial separation between your will and divine will dissolves, revealing their essential unity. This harmony naturally creates what Cayce called effortless service, perhaps the most tangible sign of divine alignment. When truly living your soul's purpose, spiritual work flows naturally without force or struggle. This doesn't mean absence of challenge, but rather absence of internal resistance. The impact of this flow state creates sustainable service that doesn't lead to burnout or resentment because it emerges from your authentic nature rather than obligation. What's particularly beautiful about this effortless service is how it transforms your relationship with external validation. When operating from this aligned state, you experience deep fulfillment regardless of recognition or reward. The journey reveals how purpose-aligned souls find their greatest satisfaction in the service itself, rather than the acknowledgement it might bring. This creates incredible freedom from the approval addiction that drives so much human striving. If you've experienced moments of this effortless flow, where service feels natural rather than forced, where fulfillment comes from the giving itself, write "flowing in purpose" in the comments. It acknowledges this beautiful state of alignment, where your authentic expression becomes divine service. As this effortless service becomes more consistent in your life, you'll notice another fascinating development in how you naturally affect others through your presence. This natural impact manifests as what Cayce called unconscious ministry, perhaps the most beautiful sign of divine alignment. Purpose-aligned souls become unconscious ministers of spiritual healing simply through living from their spiritual ideals. The journey reveals itself through a fascinating phenomenon where your mere presence begins having a catalytic effect on others, even when you're not consciously trying to help or influence them. Behind the scenes of this ministry is the elevated vibrational field you naturally generate when aligned with your soul's purpose. What makes this particularly powerful is its authenticity. This influence doesn't operate through preaching or persuasion, but through energetic transmission. The hidden truth is that who you're becoming speaks far more loudly than anything you might say. The transformation happens as your consistent alignment with spiritual principles creates an unconscious demonstration that affects others on levels beyond conscious awareness. This unconscious ministry manifests in observable ways. People seem calmer, more hopeful, or more spiritually aware after interacting with you. They share personal struggles they don't usually discuss with others. They find clarity or courage in your presence without you offering direct advice. The impact of this phenomenon is profound because it operates beyond ego involvement. You become a clear channel for healing energy rather than positioning yourself as its source. Now I want to explore a practice Cayce consistently recommended for deepening this alignment: spiritual self-examination. The revelations come through regular, honest reflection on whether your daily choices reflect your highest spiritual principles or whether you're compromising these principles for temporary convenience or advantage. This isn't about self-judgment, but about conscious spiritual development through sincere self-awareness. This examination creates a powerful feedback loop for spiritual growth. By consistently comparing your choices with your ideals, you identify areas requiring deeper integration. The mindset shift happens when you begin viewing discrepancies not as failures, but as growth, opportunities, invitations to bring more of your life into alignment with your spiritual understanding. The journey reveals how this honest self-reflection accelerates spiritual development far more effectively than external guidance alone. What's fascinating about this practice is how it transforms your relationship with spiritual principles. Rather than abstract concepts, they become practical measuring sticks for daily decisions. The impact of this approach bridges the gap between spiritual theory and lived experience, creating integrity between what you believe and how you live. This integration is perhaps the clearest external sign of internal spiritual alignment. This self-examination naturally connects with another critical practice Cayce recommended: testing your guidance. True spiritual guidance always leads to greater love, wisdom, and service capacity, never to spiritual pride or separation from others. The transformation happens as you develop discernment about the source. and quality of inner promptings by evaluating their fruits rather than just their appeal. Cayce suggested applying guidance in small ways, first to confirm its divine origin before making major life decisions based on it. This creates a verification process where you can witness the outcomes of following specific guidance before investing deeply in its direction. The journey reveals how this testing progressively builds confidence in your ability to distinguish authentic spiritual guidance from ego-based desires or external influence. If you've noticed people experiencing a positive shift simply by being in your presence, finding clarity, courage, or comfort without you consciously trying to provide it, write "unconscious minister" in the comments. It acknowledges this beautiful phenomenon of spiritual transmission that happens naturally when you're aligned with your divine purpose. As you develop these practices of self-examination and guidance testing, you'll notice another powerful development in how service opportunities appear in your life. This divine orchestration manifests as what Cayce called natural service placement, a profound synchronicity that consistently appears in the lives of purpose-aligned souls. You find yourself naturally positioned in situations where your specific gifts, talents, and even past wounds can help others overcome similar challenges or develop parallel spiritual capacities. The journey reveals itself through encounters that seem too perfectly matched to be coincidental, as if an invisible hand is orchestrating connections between your unique offerings and others' specific needs. What makes this placement particularly fascinating is its precision. Behind the scenes of these divine appointments is an intelligence far beyond human planning or networking strategy. The hidden truth is that your life experiences, especially the difficult ones, aren't wasted, but are being transformed into medicine for others walking similar paths. The mindset shift happens when you recognize that your unique combination of strengths, weaknesses, victories, and failures creates a spiritual toolkit perfectly designed for specific service opportunities. This orchestration creates remarkable efficiency in spiritual service. Rather than trying to be all things to all people, you find yourself drawn to situations where your particular spiritual DNA is exactly what's needed. The impact of this alignment eliminates the exhaustion of serving outside your authentic capacity and the frustration of forcing connections that aren't divinely orchestrated. The transformation happens as you learn to recognize and flow with these natural placements, rather than striving to create opportunities through personal effort alone. Now, I want to explore a quality that Cayce consistently identified as essential for recognizing and maximizing these divine appointments: spiritual patience. Through thousands of readings, Cayce observed a fascinating distinction. Spiritual impatience almost always indicates ego involvement, while spiritual patience reflects soul alignment with divine law and timing. The revelations come as you notice whether you're developing greater trust in divine timing and willingness to continue service without demanding immediate results or recognition. This patience creates a powerful framework for sustainable service. Rather than burning out through forced effort or giving up when results aren't immediately visible, purpose-aligned souls develop capacity for faithful persistence through changing seasons and circumstances. The journey shows how this patience isn't passive waiting, but active trust, continuing to plant seeds while recognizing that growth timelines aren't yours to control. What's particularly beautiful about this development is how it transforms your relationship with service outcomes. The transformation happens when you discover that your responsibility is faithful, offering rather than measurable results. This shift creates incredible freedom from the performance anxiety that plagues so many sincere spiritual seekers and service providers. The impact extends far beyond personal peace to the quality and sustainability of your contribution to others. This patience naturally connects with another profound sign of divine alignment, what Cayce called the spiritual growth perspective. Purpose-aligned individuals increasingly approach problems with curiosity about their spiritual lessons rather than resentment about their presence. This shift in perspective is one of the clearest indicators that you're awakening to your soul's purpose and accepting spiritual responsibility for your evolution. This perspective creates a revolutionary framework for navigating life's inevitable challenges. Rather than asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What might this be developing in me?" The journey reveals how this simple shift transforms your emotional experience without changing external circumstances. The transformation happens as you recognize that difficulties aren't random obstacles, but precisely designed curriculum for your soul's next level of development. If you've noticed yourself becoming genuinely curious about the spiritual lessons in challenges rather than resistant to their presence, write "growing through everything" in the comments. It acknowledges this profound perspective shift that changes how you experience your entire life journey. As this growth perspective deepens, you'll notice another fascinating evolution in how you acquire and apply spiritual wisdom. This evolution manifests as what Cayce called wisdom through application, a profound transformation in how spiritual understanding develops in your life. Those living their divine purpose naturally progress beyond intellectual collection of spiritual concepts to consistent application of principles in daily circumstances. The journey reveals itself through a fascinating phenomenon where abstract spiritual teachings become living wisdom through practical implementation. Behind the scenes of this development is the recognition that true spiritual understanding can only emerge through embodied practice. What makes this approach particularly powerful is how it creates experiential verification. Rather than accepting teachings on authority alone, you begin testing principles through direct application, creating first-hand knowledge of their validity and limitations. The mindset shift happens when you move from believing spiritual principles might work to knowing they do work, because you've personally experienced their effects. The impact of this applied wisdom manifests as increased compassion for others' struggles, clearer perception of spiritual dynamics, and greater effectiveness in helping others navigate similar territory. This applied understanding naturally connects with another significant sign of purpose alignment: conscious spiritual influence. When you're exactly where God wants you to be, you become increasingly aware of how your thoughts, words, and emotions affect others' spiritual states. The revelations come as you notice the tangible effects your energy has on environments and relationships, how your anxiety creates tension, how your peace brings calm, how your judgment dampens spirits, how your acceptance creates safety for authentic expression. This awareness creates a powerful framework for responsible spiritual citizenship. Rather than unconsciously contributing to collective energy fields, you begin consciously choosing which frequencies to amplify. The transformation happens as you recognize your genuine power to affect others' spiritual states through your own internal condition. The journey shows how this growing consciousness leads to greater care in maintaining positive spiritual vibrations, not from rigid self-control, but from genuine care for others' well-being. Now, I want to explore one of the most comprehensive signs of divine alignment: increasing harmony between different life dimensions. Purpose-aligned souls experience growing integration between their spiritual ideals, service opportunities, and life circumstances. The hidden truth is that when you're living your soul's purpose, these aspects naturally align rather than compete with each other. The impact of this harmony eliminates the fragmentation and division that characterizes so many spiritual seekers' experiences. This integration manifests as decreased conflict between different life areas. Your work supports your spiritual growth rather than hindering it. Your relationships reinforce your highest values rather than compromising them. Your daily activities reflect your spiritual principles rather than contradicting them. The transformation happens as you notice things beginning to work together to support your spiritual growth and service capacity, a sure sign you're aligning with divine purpose. What Cayce emphasized most strongly through his extensive readings was perhaps the most liberating insight about soul purpose. It isn't primarily about career or external achievements. The journey reveals that true purpose is about becoming a clear channel for spiritual forces to work through you for the benefit of all souls. This perspective creates tremendous freedom from the anxiety about finding the one right path that plagues so many sincere seekers. This understanding transforms purpose from something you achieve to something you allow, the natural expression of divine energy through your unique being. When you surrender personal will to divine will, you discover you're already exactly where God wants you to be in this moment of your spiritual evolution. The revelations come as you recognize that purpose isn't a destination, but a moment-by-moment alignment with divine flow. If you've experienced this growing harmony between different dimensions of your life, where things seem to be working together rather than against each other, write divine integration in the comments. It acknowledges this beautiful state of wholeness that emerges when living in alignment with your soul's purpose. Now, let me share some practical methods Cayce recommended for strengthening these signs of divine alignment if you're not yet experiencing them consistently in your life. As we conclude our exploration of these profound spiritual signs, I hope you're beginning to recognize them in your own life journey. Remember, spiritual alignment isn't something you achieve once and forever. It's a dynamic, evolving process of continuous awakening. Some days you'll feel perfectly aligned, and other days you'll need to recalibrate. That's not failure. That's the beautiful rhythm of spiritual growth. If this exploration of Cayce's spiritual wisdom resonated with you, I'd love for you to be part of our growing spiritual community. Subscribe to join us for more insights into the soul's journey. We explore these profound spiritual principles every week, translating ancient wisdom into practical modern living. If today's message felt like it was speaking directly to your soul, write "My soul remembers" in the comments. I read every comment and find such inspiration in hearing how these spiritual principles are awakening in your unique journey. A gentle tap on that like button helps more seekers discover these spiritual insights in their own divine timing. Your simple action creates ripples that reach souls ready for this exact message. There's a video right here that explores Cayce's teachings on dreams as spiritual guidance, a perfect companion to understanding your soul's purpose. Click and continue this exploration with me there as we discover how your nighttime wisdom reveals your daytime path. Until we meet again, may you walk in the certainty that your soul is exactly where it's meant to be in this sacred moment of your eternal journey.